Hey, what's going on? It's Dr. Ben. I'm a chiropractor, and this is the Pre-Chiro podcast where we're just really trying to build context for any prospective students out there that are considering becoming chiropractors one day by having conversations that are meaningful and that are important for you to hear from people that have been there and done that. So today we have Dr. Jaime on the call just to share her perspectives and her experience. Thank you so much for taking the time. Can you just introduce yourself by sharing what you were up to before chiropractic school and what attracted you to becoming a chiropractor?
Oh goodness, that's a long story. um, Chiropractic is actually my second career. I started out as a medicinal chemist, actually, and I was in graduate school working in that field, and I hated it. I hated every second of it. I'm in a lab all day, and being working towards a PhD in medicinal chemistry for 4 years, I started really thinking about where health and healing truly comes from, because what I'm doing is I'm making all of these drugs and medications per se that use such bad chemicals that people are going to be putting in their bodies to get them healthy. And looking at the side effects of some of these things, I was like, this makes zero sense to me. And so I started doing some research about um, how the body truly does heal and where healing truly comes from. And it comes from within, not from the outside. And it's actually really interesting because right when I was in my fourth year of graduate school, God really intervened in that whole situation. My husband and I had got married my second year, and I found out that I was pregnant in my fourth year of grad school. And because I was working with such toxic chemicals, obviously being pregnant, you can't do that. And so once that happened, I immediately was drawn to chiropractic school. And, it's so funny because even when I was an undergrad, I was like, what about going to chiropractic school? Like, just this looks like something I'd really like to do. And everybody kind of talked me out of it. And so that's how I ended up in graduate school for chemistry. And like I said, I hated every second of it. And so once that situation happened with me getting pregnant with my son, I knew now was the time. And so I applied and I got in and I started the chiropractic program at Life University when my little guy was 7 weeks old, and he's 13 now, about to be 14. So that's kind of where it all started. I'm so glad that that intervention happened, because I can't imagine doing anything else with my life.
Yeah, and I just got to say, if you're out there thinking of chiropractic and you've got people pushing back and saying, do not go in that direction, and giving you their feedback, their perspective, don't buy into it. Don't accept it. Think for yourself, what is going to make me the happiest? What's the best path for me? And if chiropractic keeps calling your name, then listen to that voice, you know? So I just have to reflect on that after hearing you say that and knowing that that's the truth for so many people, that they were thinking, maybe I'll become a chiropractor. And people are like, nah, that's probably not the best path for you. Can you talk about your experience at Life University? What were you attracted to? What did you study? Who were the biggest influences? Which resources did you really dedicate yourself to?
Yeah, so I had a great experience at Life. Once I got through the kind of lower quarters and got into the higher quarters, I was really drawn towards pediatrics and pregnancy. That's really kind of where my sweet spot is, and just overall health and overall health and family wellness. And what really drew me to that is just obviously being a parent myself, knowing the benefits of chiropractic for my own children, but also seeing how kids' lives really are changed with consistent chiropractic care, especially kids with special needs, kids on the spectrum, kids that have learning disabilities. And so that's really what drew me there. Of course, Dr. Rubin is huge at Life University, and he was definitely someone that really poured into me a lot. And to this day, I still, follow, listen to his podcast, and really still follow his work. And that was really the path that I was the most attracted to while I was there. And then of course I love the functional neurology side of chiropractic too.
Hmm.
And so just seeing, how the brain works and how the nervous system works, like that's just always been something that just intrigues me even to this day. I'm still trying to learn more ways that I can provide better care
Hmm.
to my practice members, looking at a functional neuro route as well. So
Hmm.
uh,
Can
yeah.
we unpack those two areas of study and really build sort of a web of different connecting points between functional neurology and what that area of study looks like, and then also pediatrics and specifically pediatric population with special needs, and what the areas of study, some of the things you study, and how those two fields also complement each other?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing that I wish that I had done more of when I was in chiropractic school was take a lot more seminars outside of class, like specifically like ICPA seminars. And being a young mom, I had my daughter when I was in ninth quarter, and so with my kids still being really little, and my husband is not a chiropractor, he's got a completely separate career. I made a lot of excuses as to why I wasn't able to complete the ICPA certification while I was in school. And so here I am 11 years after graduating doing it now. Actually, no, 10 years after graduating doing it now. And the one thing that I really love working on, and really with all ages, not just with our kids that we see, is looking at how retained primitive reflexes can really affect us as adults, but also how it really does affect our children. And so I'm about 6 modules into that program. And so I'm really still kind of trying to unpack those things myself and incorporate a lot of more of that into the practice. But that's kind of really where I've started, what is really just being more intentional in my exams, not only with our kids, but also with our adults as well. And like I said, seeing what effect these prims have, on our kids. So,
Hmm.
and how we
What
can.
what is functional neurology? Like what are people that practice functional neurology? What are they looking at? What are they measuring? What are some of the things that you would study as a chiropractic student that's particularly focused in functional neurology, or a chiropractic student who's enrolled in this program that you're describing right now?
So that's a good question. Again, for me, like I said, it goes back to the neurological aspect of, you know, like I said, for me, because I'm still kind of still unpacking this myself.
Hmm.
I think for a student, it looks like, again, finding what 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 draws you to it, and like I said, for me that was kids, and how those, and how in pediatrics, and how those kind of wiring in our neurological system is, not want to say faulty, but where the path is disconnected, and really kind of working to reconnect that, whether it's, again, working on reintegrating, or trying to get prims to go dormant, or things like that. And so, for example, I have a, gosh, I think she's 5 now, and she started with us. She was 18 months, and just very, very much had really traumatic childbirth, really traumatic couple first months of life. And when we met her at 18 months, she had literally met no milestones that she should have been. Not walking, not talking, not crawling, couldn't pull up on anything. Like, there was just not, like I said, barely any milestones had been met with her. And her parents had been told that she probably would never walk, never talk, and that it would just, she would basically just be kind of either wheelchair bound or stroller bound her entire life. And of course, she had other therapists that she was working with as well. But when she really came in to see us, and we started really assessing her to see where those disconnects were, within about 6 months of care, and I have to go back and look at my notes to give you a more specific answer, but within 6 months to a year, now she's meeting these milestones. And at 5 years old, you wouldn't even really ever know that there was a problem when we first met her. And so, like I said, I think it just, for students, you have to find where your sweet spot is. And for me, that's where my sweet spot is. And look how you can integrate those things to really, again, just give them a much better overall quality of life. And so
Hmm.
I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I'm a high school or college student, I'm listening to you talk about things. You're basically just touching on a bunch of different topics that I want people to go further with and explore more. So these conversations are really just meant to even just touch on a superficial level, but sometimes we get a little bit more depth, and it's in the depth that I think that people get to see, wow, this is really something that's going to take me a long time. There's a huge learning curve. There's a lot to understand and a lot to explore. So that's really all I'm trying to nudge you and push you for. So can you talk about your lifestyle as a chiropractor? What's your practice schedule? How are you working with people? What's your art look like?
Sure. So we are in the office 4 days a week. So Monday we start adjusting at 9 and we go till 12:30, and then we have a break from 12:30 to 3:30, and then we adjust again from 3:30 to 6. Now, when I tell people that we have a 3-hour lunch break, they always say, "Oh, that must be nice that you get 3 hours for lunch." Um, and it is nice to have that break in the middle of the day. However, we're not eating lunch for 3 hours. We are doing other things like working on paperwork that has to get done, or getting caught up on emails, or things like that. So
Hmm.
I do try to manage the time the best I can for myself and also for my employees as well. I have 5 chiropractic assistants and 1 associate doc in the office. Now,
Hmm.
Tuesdays we go in at 12, and we do some training typically, um, either before or after. We have what's called a doctor's report of findings at 12 o'clock. And what that means is that when someone starts care with us, we go through a very specific, detailed exam: history, why are you here today? This is what chiropractic is. This is what we can do to help. That you would make a great candidate for chiropractic. And then after that, we would do an exam that would relate to whatever their complaints are. So on a child, we would, depending on their age, of course, we would talk about pregnancy, delivery, whether it was traumatic for the mom. We would again ask about milestones. Were they walking on time, crawling on time, speaking on time, rolling over, those types of things. And then we would check what we call those primitive reflexes. And then anything else that we thought might give us information as to what in the world was going on with this child and what we could do to help them. If it's an adult, again, for any number of reasons why someone comes in, we could do neurological tests. We would do orthopedic tests. Again, anything else that we need to gather information. We always do postural assessments, what we call palpation, or just feeling the spine for areas of pain and edema. And then we do have on-site x-ray equipment, digital x-ray equipment, that we typically take x-rays of the spine before we adjust anyone. Once we gather all that information, we put it together and we come up with a game plan. So what does your care look like? How many times a week do I need to see you? Um, how many, for how long? 3 times a week for how long? 2 times a week for how long? 1 time a week for how long? Et cetera, et cetera. We put all that information together, and then we typically have them come back the next day for what we call the report of findings. And on Tuesdays, we do those appointments at 12. So we'll have that. Typically takes half an hour to 45 minutes, depending on how many people we have. And then after that, we'll do a little bit of training. So myself will typically lead the training with my team, and we can talk about any areas where there's uncertainty as far as a procedure. It's like, hey, this situation happened. How can we better fix it? How can we just be better at what we do? How can we have better customer service? We talk a lot about mindset, making sure that our headspace is in the right place to be able to serve. And then after that, typically I let them have lunch for about an hour, and then we'll come back again and we adjust from 3:30 to 7. Wednesday looks like Monday. So again, 9 o'clock to 12:30, and then 3:30 to 6. We just changed our hours, so I'm still trying to get that in my head. And again, we have at 12:30 new patient reported findings. And then Thursdays is our long days. We start adjusting at 9. We go to 12:30, and then we adjust again from 3:30 to 7:30. And at 6:15, in the middle of that, we have another orientation, or what we call our doctor's report of findings. And so that's kind of what our day looks like. Like I said, we do stay open a little bit later in the evening on Tuesday and Thursday to allow people to get an appointment in after work. We live close to Atlanta, and so a lot of people commute into the city. Maybe not so much right now, but previously people were commuting a lot into the city, and I didn't love working on Saturdays. I don't know a lot of people that do, but I wanted to give some later hours in the week, so that way our practice members could still come in and get care after, on their way home from work, and they wouldn't have to be stressed out about trying to get there before 6, or if there was an accident or traffic, whatever. So they have that flexibility. And that's kind of what our schedule looks like.
So you're 10 years out now. Looking back on this path, on this journey, do you have a good feeling about it? Do you recommend it to people? And if so, what are some of the disclaimers that you would give to somebody who's entering this path, given that you have a team of people that you're managing, you have a business that you're running, you're also facilitating the healing process for individuals? and you're working on your own education and your own further development of your skills. So looking back on this path, and also just recognizing everything that you're juggling right now, how would you speak to that high school or college student and help them kind of just wrap their head around what's in store for them if they decide to become a chiropractor? They obviously don't have to choose the same path as you, but
Right.
if they did, what are some things they can maybe start doing today that would prepare them and make their path a little bit easier, or maybe not easier, but a little clearer and concise?
Yeah. So, like I said, I can't imagine doing anything else. I love what I do. I love going to the office every day. I have an amazing group of ladies that I get to work with. Like I said, I have one associate doc, which means I have another doctor in the office that I've hired to help me just with the flow of patients to make wait times shorter. And also to, like I said, I have 5 chiropractic assistants that help us throughout the day, answering phones, paperwork, that type of thing. And like I said, I can't imagine doing anything else with my life. It's just so rewarding to share with people that have literally exhausted all other means of, I've been to this doctor and I've been to this doctor and I've been to this doctor. Nobody can tell me what's wrong with me. And then they come in to see us and we explain how the body works, how interference in the nervous system can really affect your quality of life, can really affect how your body heals and functions. And once we start removing those interferences by adjusting the bones of the spine, you can just literally see the healing process. And it's just absolutely rewarding. And then, like I said, because we work a lot with children, and me being a parent myself, just seeing these kids, just seeing their lives changed, just by giving them an adjustment to their spine is just the most incredible experience. That like it's one of the reasons why I do what I do every day. We had a 4-year-old nonverbal autistic little boy speak his first words in our office, after only 4 chiropractic adjustments, and if you saw that experience, you would have cried because I did. And just seeing how those parents' lives are changed, all because we let the body heal itself, is just absolutely the most incredible experience. And so, that is the best part of what I do. That's the best part of being a chiropractor. Um, some of the more challenging parts, of course, running a business is, probably the most challenging thing. Trying to discern what's a good business decision, trying to figure out what's maybe not. Um, Also, too, I manage a team, and it's like I said, my girls, they work so hard, and they are just the best group of ladies. But with 7 females in an office, sometimes we always don't see eye to eye on things, and so having to work through, those conversations is never easy, but you always come out better on the other side. And
Hmm.
then, of course, just being a mom, like I said, my son is 13, about to be 14. My daughter will be 11 on Thursday. And my son and my husband having a completely separate career, trying to balance all of that is probably the hardest thing. But the best advice I can give is just pick your priority. What's the most important thing to you right now? And in 10 years, what's going to make the most difference? And for me, that means saying no to a lot of things, and that's okay, because I know that in 10 years, or in 5 years, when my son is 18 and going to college, which I can't even think about that in my mind, I hope he can look back and remember, like, yeah, mom worked hard, but she also was able to provide for me what I needed. And I don't mean that in a material way, but provide what I needed as far as love, support, and just being able to just be there for my kids when when they need me. And so,
Hmm.
yeah. So, but yeah, so like I said, you just have to prioritize what's most important, and everything else, it may not be as important as it seems at that time. So,
Hmm. And if I was going to add anything, it would just be the consistency factor. 10 years in, I'm now 8 or 9 years in, and it is really about showing up each day with that love in your heart, with that energy up, and with that excitement that you get to help people and that you get to work with them and get to build relationships, right? We get to spend more time with most people than any other doctor would. The healthcare setting feels different than a medical setting. The way that you probably work with your staff is different than somebody in a retail situation or in a corporate situation. You know them, you know who they are, you know what they love or what they like. You probably do team building activities where you get to build camaraderie or build a team vibe. But anyway, I just want to thank you so much for sharing all these insights. I think that it's a very valuable conversation, and any student that just heard where you're coming from, what you're going through, what you've been through is better off because of it. So, any final messages to that prospective student on chiropractic, and then also how can they reach you?
Yeah. Definitely just if at the end of the day, you have to just do what's right for you and do what looks great for what you want your future to be. What are your dreams? And that's the biggest thing that I've learned is that sometimes you look at what other people want for you, whether that's in your family, whether that's in your same, even in your same profession. And so at the end of the day, what are your dreams? What are your goals? What does that look like? Because that's not going to look like anything else that anybody wants. And so at the end of the day, that's what's most important. And of course, I'm always available to reach out to anytime. And I welcome students all the time, whether it's phone calls in my office. I'm not very far out of Atlanta. I'm not very far from Life at all. Life is in Marietta. I'm about 40 miles southeast of there. So I always welcome students, interns, whatever in my office. And you're welcome to come and shadow us for a day and kind of see what the flow looks like, how we do exams, how we adjust the spine, all of those things. You are welcome to come out and see us anytime. I am on Facebook. Jamie Walker Adams is my username. I'm also on Instagram at Dr. Jamie Adams, and my office practice name is Covington Family Chiropractic. And so you're always welcome to just kind of look us up and give us a call, send us an email, and with any questions that you have. And like I said, I'm always willing to sit down and chat with any other questions that you have.
Thank you for sharing with the pre-Chiro students today. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Anytime.